Welcome to Thursday, January 25th, 2024. Your Day with a Podcast brought to you by Hot Springs County Travel and Tourism, reminding you that as the weather gets cold and snow is on the horizon, in Thermopolis, you can always find yourself in hot water. Go to thermopolis.com and find out more. Well, again, same headline as yesterday. It's really just all about the Pacific over the next 7, 10, 14, 21 days, as we're going to see, as we showed you yesterday, El Nino really kicking in here over the next 6 to 8 weeks. We're going to see first a small wave passing through the area later today, tonight, into early Friday. This system was in the Pacific Northwest yesterday. It's moving through the Great Basin and Rockies later today, tonight, and tomorrow. This will bring a quick shot of snow to the high country. There's going to be enough instability that some of you, not all of you, some of you, especially just east of the Front Range, may encounter some snow showers as the system comes through. The bulk of the showers stay in the high country, but some will reach the plains, kind of in a haphazard, disorganized fashion. Once that system gets to the east and we see temperatures get a little bit cooler tomorrow, there'll be a slight drop. High pressure builds in for a mild, fair stretch of weather, basically from Saturday, probably through next Thursday. Very little's going to go on, even along the West Coast. From the western high plains through the Rockies, Great Basin states, to the West Coast, Saturday through Wednesday and Thursday of next week, nothing really is going to happen. However, and we'll show you again, the changes that are happening way far away from here, way out in the Pacific, those changes that are 5,000 or 6,000 miles away will lead to changes in our weather, with a major shift in the weather pattern late next week and next weekend as that really strong jet stream wind gets going. That's going to initiate a change. It's very much like putting a cattle prod in the atmosphere when this pattern happens, what we're seeing in the Pacific. That's going to lead to a lot of uncertainty. We sometimes will tell you this. When we have a big pattern change like this, do not put much emphasis on anything you see on the internet, on your phone, on a forecast that goes out the week to 10 days. Because that forecast, especially the 10-day forecast, is a moving target. It is all over the board. We'll tell you this, we're going to have a big change in the weather in about a week to 10 days. That's going to lead to colder weather. That's going to lead to increasing rain and snow chances over a large part of the western and parts of the central United States. But there is no way we can give you any details of intensity, exactly where everything's going to be. We do not have that technology yet. We're not there yet in weather modeling. But we are confident to tell you there's a big change coming that should be impactful. We just have to wait till we get closer. So buyer beware. Great shot of a moon set. Yes, that's not the sun. That's a moon set that happened earlier this week in Cheyenne. And we have a moon rise over the Bighorn Mountains that took place at big full moon, throwing a lot of light out in many areas overnight and yesterday evening. Satellite photo this morning shows that system that was on the West Coast yesterday. Here it is. It's disorganized. It's elongated. However, you see these little clouds that look puffy here across northern Nevada along Interstate 80 there? That is an indication of instability. Those are snow and rain showers. That's instability in the atmosphere. And that instability is going to go right down Interstate 80. When I say instability, that means it won't be hard for snow showers to form, kind of off and on, because the atmosphere is moist, there's cold air aloft, there's some things going on. So there is going to be some weather with this elongated area of low pressure as it heads east today, tonight, and into tomorrow morning. This big, mean-looking swirl of clouds out in the Pacific, well, it's really not going to go very far. It's going to kind of stall out. So high pressure is going to be building in between those two systems. And there you can see it on the 500 millibar chart. Here's that elongated area of low pressure we just saw. Here's the high pressure building along the West Coast. And here's that storm we just showed you on the satellite imagery. So as we go through the next 3 days, this is through Saturday morning, this is how the precipitation will fall. Heaviest along the Pacific Northwest coast. Then you can see right along and west of the divide, there's going to be some snow and rain showers, some snow in the mountains. Do not be surprised if there's more in the way of showers that end up coming through that area here and along Interstate 80 because of that instability I showed you with those puffy clouds across northern Nevada. So there's also going to be maybe some heavier showers down here on the southern branch of that as it goes through. And there's that hole, that snow hole, so to speak, that we've been showing you over the last couple of days. Very persistent. And that's going to be there. That hole is not going to have anything in it here for a little bit longer. That's what snowfall looks like. Nobody getting clobbered, but there'll be a little bit of fresh snow on the ski slopes and the higher mountains as the system passes on through over the next 24 hours. So if traveling Interstate 80, I-70, I-15, you're going to have a little bit of weather to contend with the mountain passes as well. By Monday, there's that area of high pressure. This high pressure will be fairly broad. So this will initiate, starting this weekend, through the first half of next week, very little weather. So we won't have much wind. Temperatures will be above average. Really more nice weather to close January with. So January started mild, the middle extremely cold, the end of January back to mild weather again. But what happens when we get into early February? Well, as we showed you yesterday, this very strong jet stream wind at 30,000 feet is forming across the Pacific. And what I'm showing you is an animation that goes through the next 10 days. The bright red areas show you where the jet stream winds in knots, okay, are very, very fast. You can see how fast those winds are going there. And if you just look at the scale, imagine the scale of these Pacific jet stream winds that basically go from the Asian continent all the way to the West Coast by next week. So this very strong jet stream pattern is indicative of what we see during an El Nino, especially as it matures and reaches its peak, which is exactly what it's doing. This is just energizing the atmosphere in the Pacific. And notice what happens. It goes from a straight line to more of a wavy pattern. And what those waves are going to be developing areas of storms. So these storms will initially, at first, come into the California and the Pacific Northwest coast and even into Northwest Mexico there. And this is by next Thursday. So this is a week from today. We start to see more in the way of troughiness, low pressure coming into the California coast. But you see this high pressure ridge that's forming over the northern plains of southern Canada through the Dakotas on the east side of the Rockies. Notice we've got another block forming in Greenland. So all of this energy is going to come towards the west coast, but it's going to kind of have this high pressure ridge at first that it's going to be fighting against because we're kind of in a log jam. So what's going to happen is, think of these lows as logs coming in, and think of this as a dam. Think of this high pressure ridge as a dam. All of this is going to get bottled up along the west coast first. And the question is going to be what happens after this dam breaks, which is going to be probably by next weekend or the days following. Because once the dam breaks, that energy, and you can see the strong jet stream winds right here, will be able to go further eastward into the plains, into the Rockies, and become a bigger weather maker. However, we don't know exactly what's going to happen when that dam breaks. We're just going to have to see what develops, because I can show you all the models, and they all look wildly different, and there's really no use to show them to you at the moment. Interesting thing, twice a week we get a new 30-day outlook from the European model that show you what the temperature tendencies over a 30-day period will be, as well as precipitation. And what you want to look at here is where you see blue, the tendency overall, when you add 30 days together, means temperatures will be below their 30-year average. The red and orange means they'll be above normal. And what we're seeing is that from Mexico through most of Western North America, this is colder than average over the next 30 days. And it looks like, at least for the next 15 to 21 days, it's not going to be because the Arctic's cutting loose. This blue is because there'll be these storms coming off the Pacific, keeping it cooler. Canada, now this doesn't mean it's going to be really warm up here in Canada. These temperature anomaly patterns on the way the graphics work can be a little deceiving. This is not shorts and t-shirt weather in Canada. What this means is relative to the 30-year averages, they will be warmer than normal because of that strong jet stream wind making the southerly trek and at least for a little bit bottling up that Arctic air for now. I think that Arctic air, as we told you yesterday, will come into play later. But there is a tendency for the west here to be cooler. That's what we're getting at. So despite the fact that it's going to be warmer here over the next 5 to 7 days, the trend going back to colder weather is certainly on the table. Precipitation over the next 30 days really showing it picking up as well. Notice in Canada here and in the northern plains, this is exactly what you'd expect in an El Nino, depressed, less amounts of precipitation in that area. But if you look at the Pacific Northwest coast, California, look at areas along and west of the divide here, very wet, but also spilling over east of the divide as well. And look at the snowfall forecast for the next 30 days. So despite the fact we got a quiet period coming up, that's going to change once we get about 7 to 10 days from now. Have yourself a good Thursday. We will see you Friday.